Hello, good evening. I hope you can all hear me okay. I know it's a bit echoey compared to before. Just to make sure I've got the right button on. I think I am. Okay, there we go. New office, new echo. Right, I'm going to start with Bitcoin tonight. I know I start every other week with other markets, and I look at the dollar and stock indexes and so on. I'm going to say that, all of the factors that we keep looking at that support a Bitcoin rally are all still there. We are still seeing really strong dollar weakness, and it's been a really strong trend for the US dollar basically since March, since this pandemic, and since the money printing response and more expected. Dollar weakness has been a theme, and these themes in FX, they, especially relating to the dollar, they can run for quite a long time. And my worst trades, in FX have come when I've, predicted them to be kind of over before they are. I think that we've got further to fall. I really do think as long as we stay underneath 91 that we've got further to fall in the dollar index to 87. Now, I might be, if I'm wrong, and that's where we, in the dollar index, that's where we would have made a big equal measured move from the December 2016 high. And that's where we would have a 50% retrace of the entire rally in the dollar from the March '08 lows. And a 50% retracing is very common. I do think, though, that we're in the potentially in a big wave 4 area, so it may be, that we're due some sideways trading before this continues. But as long as that's all it is, and it's not a rip your face off rally, I think it's all very good news and supportive for Bitcoin and a lot of other commodities. So I'm expecting the trends in FX to continue for a while, and I'm expecting oil rally to continue. And a lot of these metals have been doing very well in the face of dollar weakness as well, particularly copper and the industrial metals. So yeah, no change or no sign of reversal. I know we're seeing a little bit of a pullback in stock indexes today. I think that we were due one. We'd got a little bit stretched on the upside. And I am expecting, if I look at this 4-hour chart, I'm expecting into the holiday, I think that we'll see a rally a little bit further and then a second swing. This is potentially the first swing of correction, maybe a second swing, or it may be, that we just keep going higher. What we're doing here at the moment in the S&P, which is pretty much the strongest of them, or it was this morning, is hold on, let me a minute. We're doing that consolidation in the middle where you do that 61.8. 38.2 thing. I can't seem to draw it in. Here we go. Here we go. 61.8, 38.2. Take that off. And so we're kind of in the middle. If you like, this 50% level is usually a really good pivot. And that would be a good sign that we are going up again in the S&P. You can see it was these lows and these lows as well. And that's also where our daily 20 moving averages. 4-hourly moving averages. These moving averages are flat though, so that denotes no trend. So I think back above 3667, now that we've filled our gap, would be a good indicator that we are on our way up again. The S&P absolutely loves a 786 fib, so I'd mark that for my first upside target, and that's at 3694. That's, 40, when you're 40 or 50 S&P points, and it looks like nothing on this 4-hour chart, doesn't it? I remember when, you'd be lucky if you made 40 or 50 S&P points in a week. So this volatility is really nice. The Nasdaq was a little bit weaker of them, and this morning, this looked like a real bear flag, but it's pulled it out of the bag today. Hasn't filled the gap though. I think that we, whenever you have a correction, so you see how we have a drop, and this first swing only went to the 50%. Whenever you have that, see that pattern in a harmonic pattern, so the first swing is 50% or less. for this second swing, provided you don't make your new low, you're always looking for at least 1.618 or a 1.618 or 2.618 of this correction for your next swing. So that means that we've got a little bit further to go before we get to that level here in the Nasdaq. So not quite done going up. 12,582 would be where I would be looking for that, or potentially new highs. So very well supported still in these stock indexes. Dollar index is staying weak, and so all the conditions for me are there for Bitcoin to stay supported and other crypto to stay supportive and keep going higher. I'm going to start with a monthly chart tonight for perspective of Bitcoin US dollar, and I've got the Bitstamp chart up because I think it has the best chart history, the longest chart history. And here we are with a little, we're only halfway through the month, but this monthly candle so far is a hanging man. If you go to the pattern site or Bulkowski's pattern site, you'll see that this hanging man candle as a bearish reversal candle is the worst performing candle that it is. In fact, I would say that the last time we had a hanging man like this was back here in September of 2017. And this is what I mean about worst performing. In fact, the hanging man candle performs better as a bullish candle than it does as a bearish candle. So I'm not going to say that it won't reverse it, but at the moment this is just a really big, all we're looking at is a really big pause at previous highs and a really strong uptrend. And so, yeah, as you know, we're a million miles from my moving averages, so we're not a million miles, but we're way up and riding these moving averages. And so when I'm in that position, I like to use Fibonacci to give me targets for where we're going next. Now, I'd originally thought, the bearish pattern here. So we talked about, what happens if a first swing is to 50%. But if you're, in fact, I've already got one here, haven't I? If your first swing is to your 61.8, which this one was, this first rally was to our 618 fib. When you have that, you have the potential for, if you make a perfect ABC or a close to an ABC and you reverse at the 786, you have the potential for a Gartley pattern. So we had the potential for a Gartley pattern here at 16,000, a lot of liquidity. In fact, we absolutely blew through this 16,000 level, no stopping, and on we went. So when you don't stop at a Gartley pattern, what you normally end up with is a butterfly or a shark or an extended pattern. So what you do is you put your fib extensions on this big corrective swing and you look for confluence or where everything kind of lines up. So if we do that here, let's change my color. So this is basically how I look for targets. So 2.618, 3.14, 4.16. So I kind of do it like that. So I don't think I want that one. No. Okay. So when we do this, let's change the color. We can see that around here and around 20,000, we're at 1.618 of this correction. So this is one of those kind of levels that might give us pause. But that if we get above it, so if we get above 20,078, our target's all the way up here where we are 2.618 of this swing and 1.618 of this swing at 30,000. I do think that we potentially could have a bit of a wobble level here at 24,000. And we're not through our resistance yet, but those are the big picture targets I'm looking at. And so far, this is a really bullish correction. So I know sometimes you can see nasty reversals at previous highs. Bitcoin loves to retest previous highs and lows, but in this instance, so far, we don't have that reversal yet. We don't have a reversal pattern on the weekly. These are doji candles. They're indecision. They're not bearish reversal candles yet. And when we go to the daily, so far, when we look at this pattern, what I think we've done here, because I found it very hard to divide, corrections are normally three waves. So 1, 2, 3, and then you carry on. Sometimes they're irregular, so you'll retest the highs or you do something like this and carry on. Sometimes the third swing is shorter than the first swing, only 61.8, so it'll look like that. Sometimes it'll be irregular, so the high in the middle will make a new high, and then if you make one of those shorter ones, it'll look like you haven't done a correction at all. It'll look like your uptrend has continued, but in fact you have done a correction, and I think that that's what we've seen here in Bitcoin. So this is our first, our A leg of correction. Here's our B leg, and I think that this was a C leg because it was 61.8 of this first swing. And so potentially we could just carry on higher here. If we draw this C leg in a channel, we've broken out of our channel, or we look like we're trying to break out of our channel. That's a good sign that we're on our way up again. Let's look at this on a 4-hour, make sure that we're not cheating here. I don't think I'm cheating. So, but if I connect the lows, sometimes if you stop, right, sometimes, so I've got 3 touches on the bottom. If you make this a parallel channel, that's often where you'll stall. And so that looks like, and then I connect the highs. And so in this instance, if we're going to be doing just like a bigger correction, so this is, in other words, a big A, B, then this is where we would stop. And so if I'm wrong about this being the third A leg, and in fact this is our A leg just done, and this is, you know, this is one of those places where we would find resistance. So at the moment I think it looks like a bullish flag. I'm hoping that it breaks higher, but there is the potential that we do a bit of a bigger correction here before we carry on higher, just because it is resistance. So something like that. We could even, you know, come back 50% of this rally. I really wouldn't want to see it back more than 50% of this rally. I think that 50% is what you see in a correction, and if we go more than that, that would say to me new down leg for Bitcoin. So 50% back of this, 18,493, so basically 18,500, and we're hovering around kind of 19,000 at the moment. So as you know, this is crypto. Sometimes the lows and highs, they get all fully retested. So it wouldn't be crazy or negate anything if we did, you know, come back and do all of this and double bottom. But there you go. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking. Don't read mean Twitter comments while doing a live broadcast there. Pro tip. That's a good one. All right then. So I'm going to carry on. Check the cam. That is the hanging. So Luca, yes, you're right. It's the hanging man on the weekly, but they're the, you know, worst performing. So all those people with OCD, I've got less charts open tonight. So that means if you need a question, if you want me to look at one that I haven't got open, I have to open a page, but that's okay. But that's where we are. So let's take a look at some of the majors, because, you know, up until now, Litecoin has been a really good leading indicator of what's going on with Bitcoin. So is Monero and a few of the others. So if we take a look at Litecoin, in this one, this is a bit simpler, because if I look at this low to high, this was a slightly higher low, so we didn't make a new high in this one. There's no question that this is ABC for me. And this one I think is getting ready to go up again. I put my fib retrace from this low to this high. We reverse to the 786. When you do that, your first target is the 38.2, which is here. The second target is the 236 fib, which we haven't reached. And when you do that, so you'll go 786, 38.2, then you'll normally come back somewhere in the middle, find support and turn up again. And that's what I think, again, that we're likely to do here in Litecoin. And this, therefore, is a good leading indicator bit for Bitcoin. So this is our A, we'll do just a B, something like that, and then on our way up again. So if you haven't got any Litecoin yet and you're looking at this, that's what I'd be looking for. 78, maybe a little bit lower. Where's our daily 20 moving average? That's where the daily 20 moving average is as well. So yeah, a little bit of consolidation, and then I think Litecoin carries on higher. I need to stop drawing on this chart. For every single coin that I'm looking at the moment, even if you trade it against the dollar or Tether, I really recommend that you look at it against Bitcoin. It has to be going up against Bitcoin. You want to be on the fastest horse in the race if you're going to make money in crypto, okay? You know, ideally you have a pile of, you have some Bitcoins or Bitcoin, you invest it in some altcoins that are outperforming, and you go back to Bitcoin and you just increase your Bitcoin that way. You know, that's how most of these exchanges are working. Litecoin, Bitcoin, for me, this is looking like a little bit of a diamond bottom, potentially. So, and I like this as again, as an ABC pattern, but I'm not 100% convinced we're out of the woods and going up yet. I think it looks good, but let's see. If I was to put this on a 4-hour chart and look at this consolidation, as you know, you can see we're all coiled up. We haven't really broken out yet in Litecoin, Bitcoin, but we're not going down against Bitcoin. So yeah, why not Litecoin? There you go. So Litecoin is a good leading indicator. Not quite a breakout, but almost. Good one to watch. How about Ethereum or Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin going up again? Because that's a really good indicator for altcoins. Same scenario, unfortunately. We're in this wedge consolidation. I think if I measure from this high to this low and project it from here, that we've gone to that 61.8 level. This is the ABC. And so I'm looking for this to break out. And I think when it does, that we will see really nice upside movement in altcoins. Lead Holistic Farm says, this is the confusing thing with those trading US dollar or Tether. It can be. It can be. And you know, if you, at most of these exchanges, unless you've done all the know your customer stuff and you have a dollar account, most people have a Bitcoin account. So Bitcoin, you have to think of Bitcoin as like your base currency. So sometimes if Bitcoin is going down and your altcoin is going up, it can look like you're doing all right, but you're not actually. You're losing money in dollar terms, and so you should check. And you can do that on TradingView. If you look, you can look at it calculated in US dollar, even if you can't see it at your brokerage. So it is important. Yeah, it is important. And sometimes, you know, you'll be in a coin that it looks like, I'm trying to find an example of one against Bitcoin. So, okay, this is like this one here. This is Nictrades Bitcoin. So for the last, I don't know, 8 days, we've been going sideways. Well, ignore the spike, right? We've been going sideways, doing nothing against Bitcoin. Well, let's look at this 4-hour. We're going flat, going sideways against Bitcoin. But in that time, Bitcoin is absolutely rocketed. So your base currency, the value of your base currency has gone up. So if you look at Nictrades against US dollar or against Tether, it's gone up. So not going down anyway. So I've realised we've been a little bit of sideways, haven't we, against Bitcoin? So not quite. So I would check both, right? Just, it's important to check both. Most of the time, they'll all be going the same way and you won't have a problem. The problem comes in a sell-off, you know. Then, okay. So in Ethereum, so we're trying to decide, has Bitcoin finished the correction and ready to start going up again? In ETH, we did the same thing. We made a slightly higher high. I'm going to switch to regular candles. I feel like we've finished our ABC correction. I feel like we're trying to break out of our channel. And we're in exactly really the same position as Bitcoin. If we can draw our channel by connecting these lows, like this in ETH, then perhaps we haven't quite, and we'll put it from this high, perhaps we haven't quite decisively broken out yet. We're kind of going sideways, aren't we, at this level? But yeah. And so there is the potential, yes, that this was the high. This is an A leg. And we could still see another leg lower until, in this case, in Ethereum, I'm going to zoom out because this is a big fib level on the weekly. From all-time highs to all-time lows. This 38.2, which is at 592.50, that's the purple line that we can see that we're stuck at. So this on the daily, when we're looking for a breakout from this, hopefully, flag pattern, 592.50 is really what I'd like to see us get above to say that we're going up. So when I put it on an hourly chart and I look at this lovely hourly flag, I need this hourly flag to break above 592.50, and then that would say to me next leg up in F, and that would be a really good indicator for everything else. So that's what I'm looking at in that one. So there's quite a few coins out there. Let's talk about Monero, because Monero's flying. This is a privacy coin. Monero against the dollar is at new highs. We've gone beyond this 1-2. Again, you know, when you have a correction, I put my fib from the high to the low. When you make an A, B, C correction, even if it's a funky one, you put your fib on from the high of the A to the low of the C. And sometimes if it's like that, okay, you will put your fib on from here to here, okay, not from the highest to the lowest, all right? That's just, okay, how I draw them. But anyway, it works. We stopped at the 1272 extension. We are above it. This 1272, which is 147.80, should now be support, and we should keep going higher to the 161.8 extension next in Monero US dollar tether at 181. So this is a really nice trend on the weekly chart, and I think we've got more upside to come and a really good leading indicator as well. Again, this one started out as a breakout from a channel. It was messy. It wasn't really, you know, in fact, there was these lower highs. If we looked at the closing highs and this previous high, this 113 fib, this is where we couldn't close above. And then when we did, we got to the 1272 and then so on. So it's worked really nicely. But yeah, very nice look from Monero. I'll look at those definitely for you because I haven't got that many. All of these, here's the thing. Every chart that I could show you tonight is doing the same thing. So for example, NEO has done ABC 61.8. We're trying to turn up again. Haven't quite broken out, haven't quite done enough. It looks like we should carry on higher from here. Momentum is all turning up again. We're just not quite over the line and out of trouble, if you know what I mean. I need to get rid of that. Dash. A big ABC in this one. We're bouncing off the low, but this could be a big triangle. And if it is, we won't break out of here. We'll do another E leg before we go again. So looking good off the lows, but not quite, if you know what I mean, out of the consolidation yet. So just like Bitcoin, not quite at new highs yet. There are some really cool chart patterns out there. And we'll take a look at some. And there are some that haven't kind of gone yet. And I think that they are always more interesting. So for example, here's ADA. We're pretty close to the upside and potentially a breakout in this one. I think we need to go a little bit higher. This is a daily chart. Let's Mildy. So you had some, I know, but if we look at, let's look at this chart of NEO against the dollar, because it's not one of the worst ones by far. We've made a pretty nice reversal at this bottom. You know, we've got 5 waves up from the low in March. And, you know, all we're looking for is this correction to be over. And then we could then we could see really strong upside movement from here if this becomes a wave 3 in NEO. So I think this one could really surprise. I love how this first swing is a 50%, but it's coiling up, you know. When you pull back to a 50%, sometimes you only rally 50%. So that's what we've done in this one. Okay. And then you pull back 50%. And so you keep going and it coils up until it gets tighter and tighter until you break out. And so that's what we're looking for in NEO. But the fact that this first pullback here was just to a 50% and turned up again is quite positive for NEO. Just keep looking at it on this 4 hour. I think we're turning up again on this 4 hour, and I'm ready to, yeah. For me, you know, back above this 4 hour 200 moving average, we should get going soon. Yeah, so I agree. There's a few of these OG coins that nobody really does talk about anymore, but I think they look good. And this ADA looks particularly good. Let's take a look at ADA Tether on this weekly chart. You know, we're in a trend with this is a really nice pullback. We haven't even had a weekly close below. This is below these week. We're holding on. That last week's bullish hammer in ADA is a really positive sign, a little inside bar, and we'll have a really nice setup to continue higher this week in ADA US dollar Tether. Is ADA outperforming Bitcoin? Yes, it is. There we go. You can see bullish cross of our moving averages. Pull back to ideal support to make a big, what we were hoping for, or I was hoping for, was a big inverted head and shoulders pattern. We pull back to ideal support for this. So obviously our first target for ADA Bitcoin is going to be the top of this range at 975. But there's loads to like about this. And above the daily 20 moving average today, outside of this short term sideways range, you can see it a little bit better on the 4 hour here. Here's this sideways range we've been in. We're just breaking out now. I love this. I think it looks really good. So 856 and then 986 on the upside for ADA Bitcoin. So XLM is another one. Here's XLM US dollar Tether at Coinbase. So I'm going to put regular candles on for a second. You can see that this one has made a ABC correction, equal measured move. We're looking for this to turn up again. We've hit this resistance at 1754 now. I don't know that unless we get above it, I think we're not going anywhere. But again, a little short-term pullback here, and I would have my alarms at 0.1755 and above there. This is a very good-looking bottom for XLM US dollar. Now, if it's not enough, if this is 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do another swing lower, and this is just an ABC, then obviously we're going to come all the way back down here, retest the lows, maybe I'm hoping not, but we could come all the way back to these 4 hour moving averages. But I like this bullish cross here. I think as long as we hold it and a little turn higher, that'd be a really good bullish look for XLM US dollar. So above 0.1755, that one should fly too. That's on my radar. I would use these fibs as a staircase. So the first resistance then would be this 50% because it's validated all of them. So 0.1866, 0.1977, and so on. So XLM, I'm going to quickly race through these ones that I think kind of haven't taken off yet, that look quite interesting. So this is ICX Bitcoin. This is a big, remember you put your fibs on both swings when you have a big ABC. So from this low to this high, this is a big 886 fib level. We looked at this before. In November, we were looking to break this 786. We didn't. But look at this bullish recovery on this retest of this lows today. This bullish engulfing candles taking out 4 days of prices. Buyers found ICX is starting to rally against Bitcoin. This one's very counter trend if you look at it against Bitcoin. But what we really want to know is it going up against Bitcoin, and it looks like it is. So if we look at ICX US dollar Tether here, much clearer setup, isn't it? And here we are today challenging the 200 moving average again. Now, if we look at this 200 moving average, in ICX, we can see how important it is. Support, support, resistance, resistance, support, support. If we get above it again, very big deal. So very big deal indeed. Have we completed a three-wave correction where the third wave is 61.8 of the first one? Yes, we have. So we're looking good to go up again. For me, like the fib confirmation that you've reversed is always that 236 fib. So if I put that on here, you can see that we're right on it. Let's put it on the right so we can see the prices. 0.4004. So we haven't closed yet, but if we close above 0.4004 in ICX Tether, we've closed above the 236 fib and we've closed above the 200-day moving average, and that should be support, and we should carry on higher again because this is an ABC. We should go to at least the 786 before we find out we're wrong, which is all the way up here. So I'm thinking we're not quite over the line. It could die before the close tonight, but I think that ICX is quite a good one. ICX, the Ian Bellina rug pull. Yeah, I know, but now there's a few of them. So for example, here's QTUM. I like this one even better because this ABC correction in QTUM has come back to find support from the 200-day moving average and the 50 moving average. And yesterday we closed back above this 20. So I think that QTUM is all set to turn higher again, and unlike the others. So potentially, you know, there's our bottoming pattern with a slightly sloping neckline, if you like, in QTUM. Either way, I think we're looking for a return to this 50%, which is 3.089, and then we'll see what happens there. There's this level there from this high. There's our support and resistance level. First upside target then, if we can hold above this 20 moving average, back to 3.089. I like this better than some of the others that have done ABC corrections. So for example, yeah, UBQ has got a nice bottoming pattern. The difference between UBQ, of course, and QTUM is we're underneath the 200 moving average. But this is still, you know, what's not to like here? At this one, trying to make a bottom and turn higher. So our first target would be high to low. Here's our 236 fib level. And it's right where the 200 moving average is, 13.15. So that'll be our first resistance. And then above there, we are looking at an uptrend scenario, 1709, and return to these highs in the middle at 2000. But this, we've stopped going down. This is a bottoming pattern. UBQ is outperforming Bitcoin. If we look at a UBQ dollar chart, you shall see that we are, again, lovely bottoming pattern and above everything, above the 200 moving average. It's now, look, support, 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 retested, retested. So turning up again in an uptrend. I know these are coins that have been around for a while. They're not the new trendy ones, but you know, you shouldn't ignore them. They're all turning up. They look like, to me, like they're all turning up. ENG, a Bittrex coin. If anybody still has an account at Bittrex, look at this bottoming pattern in this one. Here's our neckline target. This is Enigma US dollar. Okay, we're looking for 0.86. This little inside bar on the weekly says, you know, there's loads to like about this as a weekly bottoming pattern. If we get above that neckline level here, then if you make this pattern, you go twice this distance. So we would be looking at 50% of this most recent drop. So I would put it on like that. Here it is, there's our 236 and then the 50%. Back, happy days. Target for me would be 1.164. So these highs and then these highs and lows here. So Enigma US dollar Is it going up against Bitcoin? Yes, it is. There you go. We need to get rid of the spike. Now we can sort our chart. There we are. Yes, it is going up against Bitcoin. It's above the weekly moving averages against Bitcoin. So if the breakout for this Enigma Bitcoin then above the 200-day moving average, if you're trading it against Bitcoin, above 3,900. So above 3,900 is a bullish reversal for Enigma Bitcoin. Okay, there's a few other really pretty chart patterns out there, and AION is one of them, if I can find it, because I'm having a senior moment. Here's AION. Binance Coin. Again, look at the lovely bottoming pattern in this one on our 200-day moving average, 967. I'm going to put regular candles on. We're so close to breaking and closing above 0.0967. That would be a bullish reversal in this one. This, because it's a big pattern then. Remember, if you have you measure from the head to the neckline and you go twice that distance. So if we did this here, measure from the head to the neckline, which I can't quite do. There we go, like this. Twice that distance takes us to this 786 fib level at 1391. So huge upside if we can break out here. Let's take a look. Lower time frame. We're bunching up underneath it. Hourly little flag waiting for this to break higher. So AION, I think, lovely setup. Is AION Bitcoin? Is AION outperforming Bitcoin? Which you need to check it is. Woohoo! Yes, it is. Look at this. Again, lovely inverted head and shoulders pattern bottom in AION Bitcoin. There's loads to like about this one. Not quite at the neckline yet. Twice the distance takes us back to 721 and previous, just previous low here. But yeah, above that daily 50 moving average, lovely big move today. AION probably is one of my favorite charts. I mean, it is counter trend. Anytime you're underneath the 200 moving average, you're counter trend. But when you cross your moving averages and you get above, you're looking for back to the 200 moving average. So there we go. Gareth says, can we go back and check ADA against US dollar? Yeah, we can. So ADA, remember, I think we've done a big ABC triangle. When I look at ADA Bitcoin, I'm looking for a big inverted head and shoulders pattern. And in ADA US dollar, or your ADA US dollar Tether. Let's do it against Tether. Let's start with a daily. So I feel like what we needed to see, we had this sharp drop, didn't we? Rally, and this second swing for us to be correction complete needed to be 61.8 of the first one, very common, where C is 61.8 of A. It hit it to the tick, and it then, you know, that's a good sign when everyone's waiting for it. It absolutely flew. I love ADA Tether. I think, now let's. I also like that this level that we couldn't close below was 50% of this big swing. That's very common in a correction, 50% pullbacks. So this is pointing to new highs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this. Now we know we're going up again. ADA Tether. So we're going to look at, do some projections from that swing, because that was the 1270. So I'm looking for this 1.618 here at 0.2035, but I'm also going to put my, now some people would put it on this big swing and then they line up here, don't they? I shouldn't have done that. Look, there we go. Actually, that's not a good look, is it? There we go. There's where we're looking for 0.205 target next for the upside in ADA Tether. I'm just going to go out to the weekly as well, because for me the trumps are always the big fib retraces. You can do these projections, but the trump cards are the big fibs. Okay, and so if I do this here, and I make it red, and I put it on there, so you can see that they line up in the same place, because I'm always looking for confluence. So you can see that that 1.618 projection and that 2.6 all lines up at the 50% of this high to low. So that adds even more weight to the target for ADA. Next target on the upside being 0.203, and obviously then above there, ta-da, happy days, you know. Yeah, we'll just keep going, but that's the next up for this swing anyway. This long swing, look at that lovely bullish hammer, break of that hammer high. Our target is 0.20308 in ADA Tether. Okay, where was I? So Haven, little Haven. Okay, I almost feel bad talking about this one because it's quite thin and crispy. I'm just warning you. If you try and buy too much, you will move the market. You will be the market. So that's always been my problem with this one. I've had to buy it when nobody else wants it, if you want to get any size. Now, whenever you get a rally, so we've done it, we got stalled twice, didn't we, around this 200 moving average at the Haven, and it was a bit of an issue. And were we ever going to get above it? We have yesterday. A lovely move above the 200 moving average. Whenever you do that, the next problem is you're going to look at is go, oh, you know, the last thing you want to see is a kind of equal measured move, because that would be the sign of a correction. And in this case, in Haven, we've gone beyond that. So that was the low, in fact, that we back tested today. So we're looking higher from here in Haven, and I'm going to look back to this low and say, if this is just a correction, which I hope it's not, if we measure from the low on the 5th of September to this high, project it from here, our first next resistance level is at 19,900. Okay, and I'm really hoping we go beyond that and we do the bigger ABC thing at least, and if not more, we do a big new upswing. I feel like this is correction complete now. But the only way we'll find out is how far we go and how it unfolds. If we start seeing some really bullish, strong moves to the upside, we'll know that this is a wave 3 rather than a wave C. But they can, you know, these markets are all out to deceive us. So at the moment, it's looking really nice and strong. We've got more upside. We should get at least to 20,000 from here. But yeah, I would not be surprised at all to see us up at 37,000 next. What am I going to, yeah, fibs on high to low. So we're inside these, aren't we? I believe that was a 786. Just let me look. It was a little bit shy of it, yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm looking for in Haven. This was a really nice. A lot of people love trend lines in crypto. Okay, so when we get to this 61.8 level, it will be kind of around a third touch of this trend line. For me, whenever you make when you have a third touch of a trend line, also when you have a third touch of a horizontal level, it's very often a false breakout. So if you have a horizontal level, I don't know, let's just get one like this high here, you'll come, you'll do it, you'll do the double top, and very often, you know, people will run the stops above it, and then it'll be, you get a third false breakout. Why is that? Because a lot of people buy and sell double tops and put their stops just above, so the market goes, oh, thank you very much, we'll run those stops, and then reverse. So you see that on trend lines as well. Third touches are very often false breakouts, so we need to not get too excited here. we should see a lot of liquidity, and let's see if we can keep going higher in Haven. Just be careful, it's quite thin, that's all. But in every other respect, I love it, and I do own some. So full disclosure on that one. Okay, if I put my big fibs on, remember those big fibs are king. I've got log scale on here, so it's a little bit deceptive. So we're just gonna, rules that I have learned from harmonic patterns, okay? So if we go from high, if we put our fibs on from high to low here, because this first rally was to the 38.2, for me, if we break this high, we are looking for at least 1.618 of this correction. Those are the rules. So that would mean up here. Now, if I draw it as an ABC, it's a little bit lower, but if a lot of people will draw it like that from the biggest swing. I'm not sure that they're right, but so that would say to me that we're going to at least the 61.8 of this. So that's my target. 37,452, this 50% might be a little bit of trouble, but my target is 46,000 for the next swing in Haven. Just gonna do one more thing. Yeah, we don't really want to stop there in the middle. That would be an ABC, wouldn't it, at that 50%. So 37,500 and then 46,000 on the upside. Big picture view for Haven. Okay, Link is another one. Now I thought Link had more correction to come, but it's done a really good job of building a base. And this is what they call in technical analysis an Adam and Eve double bottom. So you have a spike low, and then you have this rounded retest that's taken us 6 days to build. So Adam, spiky, Eve, round bottom, double bottom anyway, at a 61.8. I think Link Bitcoin then is starting to turn up and outperform Bitcoin. My target, whenever you reverse at a 61.8, is back to the 50%, and if you can get above that, the 38.2, but that's the first target, and that's where the 200 moving averages. This Link has a lot of work to do because we're underneath all of these moving averages, so it's going to be bumpy, but if you're up for it, I think that we've made a pretty nice base here. If we look at the 4 hour as well, you can see our sideways consolidation that we need to break out of, and then Link, nice swing to the upside. So again, 85,190 would be bullish above there. That's our reversal level, and that really should be like our first target on the upside. So Adam and Eve bottom in Link Bitcoin. So if it's going up against Bitcoin, it should be really going up against Tether, right? Let's hope. Boom. Yes, it is. Happy days. So let's look at the daily, because yesterday we closed above these daily moving averages as well. So looking really good. The problem with Link here, this high, we're in that 61.8, 38.2 kind of golden ratio zone where you bump around and you sort it out between the bulls and the bears. We've gone from the 61.8 to the 38.2, back to the middle, retested the lows. So let's hope this time we get all the way back up to the top and this 61.8 again. 1521 and then 1736 would be my target. That would be a Gartley if we get up here. So let's call that our target. 17.36 for Link Tether then. Freddie says, do I think altcoin Bitcoin pairs will crash when Bitcoin? Well, this is the thing about why, you know, when we had the bull run in 2017, this was the thing about why you should look at both charts, because let's go to the daily, regular candles. So in 2017, when we had this bull run, Bitcoin, yeah, would make this big, would have this big swing, and everybody would go, oh my God, alts are being murdered. And because they couldn't always see what the price was in the US dollar. And in fact, their alts were not going down. They weren't losing money. All it was that Bitcoin was massively outperforming. So nobody lost money, and if you held on, these alts can, but you really do need to learn to trade back and forward, I think, between them. So, and that's why it's always good to have a little Bitcoin no matter what, right? So I don't think that they'll crash in US dollar terms, no. But when Bitcoin really moves, it tends to suck the liquidity out of everything else, doesn't it? Okay, so there's just one more chart that I like the look of, and then I'm going to do your request. And this was SNX. It's another Binance coin. Made a really huge bottom in this one. I love how this has found support. See this 50 moving average resistance, support, turning up again. So instead of this is a sideways range, but we could also see this as a bullish pennant. So a pennant is when it makes a triangle. A flag is when it makes a rectangle on its side. And so this is a bullish pennant. Here's our pull. Hopefully we're turning up again. No, I don't think it does. No, it doesn't cost to have an open position for a longer time on Binance. No. Yeah, Freddie, even if I'm in Bitcoin, or I have a Bitcoin account, but I still check the US dollar price, to see, or to sometimes make myself feel better, So SNX Tether, looking for the top of this triangle and see if we can get a breakout in this one. Lovely, big, inverted head and shoulders pattern, bottom going on here. So it's just a matter of stalking an entry. For me and the strategy I teach. So I'm going to put some Heikinashii on. I look at trends as these moving averages. So you see these pink and blue lines, these are my 20 and 50 moving average. So when I'm selling, so when we're in a downtrend, for underneath the 200 moving average, you look for rallies back to those moving averages to sell. And when you're in an uptrend, you look for pullbacks to these moving averages to buy. And you can see we pull back to the moving averages. Heikinashii goes for red to green. That's your buy signal. Buy signal here, you go for red to green. And that's exactly how I do it. So here in SNX, look at it flying. Now remember, this is a third touch. So I would expect a third touch to be a false breakout, and then a little bit of a pullback, shakeout, and then carry on. But I like this one particularly. All right then. Okay. So I'm going back to the beginning of the requests, and can I do Rune? Yeah, I haven't looked at Rune for a while. Let's take a look at some Rune. We'll start with Rune Bitcoin because we want to make sure it's going up against Bitcoin, and yay, it is. Now, this is our first rally off the lows. Sometimes, in Elliott Wave, they say leading diagonals. Sometimes it can be deceptive. It can actually look like an ABC when it's really 5 waves and vice versa. And so what we're looking at always is the correction, 3 waves, and then turn up again. And this is what it looks like we've got here. Just let's see if that's perfect. 61.8 textbook. Back to these moving averages and turn up again. So Rune Bitcoin is doing that pattern that so many of these altcoins, they're all doing. Now they're not all going to turn up at the same time. And rather than chase the one that's gone without you, I really urge you to look for the one that's about to go or hasn't gone yet. FOMO is a terrible, terrible thing. So if we look at our fib levels here in Rune Bitcoin, we've pulled back twice to this 236 fib level for support. This looks really good to me. So the next upside target, now we're back above this moving average, is 549,000, basically 5,500. And then next upside target, 6,413 and then 7,330. I think this looks lovely. Rune Bitcoin. And here we are at the hourly, just creeping above our 200 moving average. Look at this horizontal level we need to get above. It's looking great. So, sorry, I mean this previous high. I'm being all candid tonight. Here we go. Yay! Let's. This might be a little bit of a pullback. Let's wait. For me, I wouldn't buy it here. I would wait for this to reset, so I'd either look for it to see if it will break out, and I'd buy the pullback, or I would say, okay, let it do one more, and then I would buy the break next time. So if it's done, 6 or 8 hours green candles in a row, I'm not looking at buying it without a pullback. That's just me though. Okay, but I like Rune Bitcoin and Rune a lot. Turning up again. Let's take a look at Rune Tether. Yay! And so on the hourly, we are above these previous highs. So if you think about it, when you're in a downtrend, when you're in a downtrend, you make lower lows, lower highs. And when you turn up again, the most important high to take out is this one, because that's reverses the trend, isn't it? And so very often you'll find that that's really tough resistance when you turn up again. That's where you'll fail. Okay, and when you get above that, that's the trend reverse. Now you're making higher highs and higher lows and so on. And so you'd be amazed if you just did that one simple thing. You'd be amazed how often those levels become support and resistance. So if we do this here, you can see resistance, resistance, deep pullback. Now we're above it. We'll look at this and so on. So anyway, and that's as true on a 5-minute chart as it is on a hourly chart. If you do this on the 5-minute, same thing. You're always looking for that reversal. Okay, so I've looked at Rune Tether. For Rune Tether, let's talk about targets instead of waffling. It looks like one of those. So if this was a wave one, we did a wave one and a regular ABC, and then we've done one of those funky ones. Either way, I think we're still going higher. I'm going to put my fibs on from high to low. And up we go. We may need to be a little bit careful here that we need to make a new high. If we don't in Rune Tether, I wouldn't be surprised, because this is the 786, that we do a bit of that and we go back to this low, this important level, before we go up again. Just because that's how these patterns work. And potentially this is 1, 2, 3, and this is 4 and 5 if I've miscounted it. And so we could see one of those bigger corrections back to this low in Rune Tether. So if you're long and you're trailing this up, okay, make sure that this makes a new high and keeps going, and you don't get that lower high and then another swing lower. Next one, UNFI, lend. So sorry, all of these, gosh, look at all of these turning up. This is dot. For me, this is exactly what I want to see. This is just an hourly chart above the hourly 200 moving average, little ABC correction turning up again. This is like textbook favorite entrance place. And if I go to the daily, back above this daily 20 would be the trigger, and I'll take these fibs away. So a lot of these are looking really juicy to keep going higher. from here. So dot, if I haven't mentioned it, this is dot tether. Looks, yeah, all set. A few of them do. So UN, I've got UNFI, you want to see, okay. UNFI, we'll look at it at Bitcoin first of all. So a beautiful rally in this one. Unfortunately, this is kind of feels like 5 waves up, so we need a 3-wave correction, or at least potentially a triangle. So when we look at this, that's what we've got. We've got A, B, C, D, E. This should be the final leg, and then we turn up from here. So you very often see this pattern in a wave 4 position, and then the 5th wave is the final wave. So be a little bit careful. Once you get 5 waves up from here, you may see a bigger correction and back to these lows. So, but that's looking good. So remember, I don't expect this trend line to break. I don't expect this 50 fib to break. We could go a little bit lower. We could peek under the hood and see, but then I'm looking for this one to turn up again. This is a 4-hour chart, so we'll look at it on the hourly chart. Let's see. I know I haven't drawn this quite right. There we go. Yeah, a little bit further lower, so 62,214, something like that. This is what I mean about that third touch false breakout. Look, 1, 2, third touch false breakout. We may see that on the downside as well. Not always, but I wouldn't be surprised. So if we get underneath this trend line and then it becomes resistance, then my theory is wrong and we're in a bigger correction. Okay? But UNFI against Bitcoin, I expect it to find support pretty soon. If we look at UNFI against Tether, we've got the same pattern. I would say actually, this is our first leg. This is ABC. So from this low to this high, didn't quite reach it. And then we're doing C legs. So A leg, B leg, C. Or we could say, again, triangle, A, B, C, D, E. I'm not sure which is which. In case that's an ABC, I'm going to measure from here to here and say that's the 61.8. That would be the worst case scenario then, 10.72. Take that away. Wait one. There we go. So there, in that zone, and then let's see what that. Yeah, I think that's probably where we'll end up. It's about 10.7 in UNFI Tether. That's where I'd be looking for support. And then next time we turn up, hopefully a breakout. Okay, AXS. Let's save this. AXS Bitcoin. God, all of these look great, don't they? Again though, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we need to be a little bit careful. We'll call this a fib staircase. We're working our way up it. 3776 is resistance. I don't like this colour. 3776 in there. Where's that 886? We often go there before we'll do a bigger one. 4021. All looking pretty good. Very often this first wave and the 5th wave are equal. So that doesn't help us at all because we need a new high. So no, I think it looks good. But if this was a first leg of correction and this is just going to be an ABC, the danger area is where this is an equal measured move. We're not quite there yet, but a little bit higher. So 3559 for me, I'd have, you know, my spidey sense open, watching for a reversal there. And if we get beyond it, I'd feel a bit more comfortable that we are going to keep going and making a new high in AXS. But nothing goes in a straight line. You know, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we got here, you know, it had a little fake out move and then carried on. That's how they tend to go. But 3559 next upside, at least for AXS, Bitcoin, and a very nice turned up higher again, not at new highs, but turning up higher again against Bitcoin. That's the most important thing. Is it outperforming Bitcoin? Otherwise, you might as well be in Bitcoin. And it looks like we're about to make new highs against the US dollar. So this is a really nice looking chart, isn't it? So again, if we go from low to high, 50, 61.8, this is the sign of a pullback in a trend. So we should make new highs from here. So we use our fib projections on this correction for our level. So if we make a new high above 68,600, if this is just going to be a false break to a new high, we'll look for the 1.13, and that's at 734. And I'll take all these out so it's not so messy. There we are, nice and clean chart. Okay, 0.734 for our first target, 0.786 for our second target, and then our third target, 0.91489 at new high. So looking really good. No reason to think that we shouldn't. We've done our first kind of knockback here. Okay. Coin and YFI. Yeah, let's have a look. Emerald oil. Honestly, I don't have time tonight to talk about funding rates. I'm just trying to do some technical analysis here, but yes, you can make a little or lose a little depending on the funding rate. Yes. So you don't necessarily lose money having a longer position. It really does depend on that. Thank you, Emerald Oil. Except for all the covering the shit coins. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick look at Coin and Lend. So let's find. Again, I didn't have 40 tabs open. I was trying to help my poor computer. Actually, some people just get stressed looking at it. So I did it for them. I thought, oh, I'll open a few less tabs. There we go. I did Ripple earlier. Yeah, sorry, I have to rewind. I think I did Ripple. Maybe I didn't. I don't think I can finish without doing Ripple. So that would be bad. Okay. Now, my favorite, let's talk about Lend against Tether. So my favorite fib extensions are from the first swing. So look, I've gone from low to high because those are the first fibs that we're going to draw, aren't we? As we have this really strong rally. And you can see how they work. 1272 was the high, 1.618 was the high. And then for me, the next major one is the 2.618, which is up here. So I'm pretty sure that that's where we're going in Lend. But in between 2 and 2.24 are kind of interim fib levels that will cause you to, on the way, pause on the way. So I don't think that this 91 or even this 99, this round number 100 are going to be the high or the low, but they are going to be our bounce levels on our way to 112. And we're retesting this resistance level at the moment at 91. If this was just the first leg and we're going to see a bigger correction, we will not get back above 91. And once we do, we're looking for 99 and so on. So let's look at this. See how we're doing here. So if you think about the psychology of this, the people who've been long lend all the way had this double top and had this, and they were like, oh yeah, no, it's just consolidation. And then they got this nasty pullback where we went from 90 to 70. So as soon as we get back anywhere near 90, they're going, oh, thank God, and they're selling it. That doesn't mean that it's the high. It just means that the people that hodled are going, oh yeah, I'm going to sell some here because that's not going to happen to me again. So we need to shake that out, and then before we keep going higher. I am not necessarily bearish here. I think that this was a very nice corrective move, not a new impulse move. And yeah, I'd like to see a pullback. So I'm going to do shorter term fibs, hide these, see where we might come back to before we. So we might do a full 61.8, come all the way back to this 200 moving average and go up again. Hold on, I'll do it again in a minute. Try go to the cog at the bottom on Facebook and improve your to a high definition. Okay, so when you reverse at a 786 fib, which we have, you usually come back to the 38.2. I don't think we got to the 886. No, we didn't quite reach it. Okay, so I expect we'll come back to 80 if we break the 61.8. So where's the 61.8? We're not underneath it yet. Okay, so if we get underneath oh, I can't read it. How annoying. So short term, if I was looking at this, if we close back underneath 85,665, I would say that we are going to do a deeper pullback like that to the bottom of this wave 4, and that it might look a bit like, and it might be 3 waves, because we've got 5 waves up, haven't we? So that would be where I'd be looking for 80. If we don't, if we hold above 85, then I would say we're going to keep going. But that's what to expect short term in AION. Just missed your short entry. I know. Isn't that always the way? So, yeah, if we can stay above 85, we might just keep going in lend. Below 85, we should go to 80. Big picture, clearly, we're in an uptrend. We're just doing that consolidation thing. Is AION lend going up against Bitcoin? It is, yes. Look, you can see. So in this, from this high to the low, we stalled at the 50. Remember, fibs can be a bit like, we found support at this 38.2. Back above 4807, a daily close, that would be a sign that we are starting a new upswing. I did look at Litecoin at the beginning, so I'm expecting Litecoin, a bit like Bitcoin, has a bit more further to go in the tank. I'm looking for it to break above this trend line. This is Litecoin, Bitcoin. I did do Litecoin earlier. If you have a look, I don't necessarily do it too much in depth. So big picture, just pullbacks. I'm still really bullish, and good luck everybody. Did I do Ripple? It's so bad that I can't remember if I did Ripple or not. So I'm going to do maybe Ripple again. Okay. So if I just take all the fibs and the lines and everything else away, and I look at my moving averages, normally, this is Ripple dollar on the daily. Normally, once you lose this 20 moving average, your support is back at the 50 moving average. and we're underneath it, and these little inside bars now, 2 days of inside bars. For me, I think that we are going to continue lower. So not for sure, but the path of least resistance is lower, unless we can get back above kind of 0.545 in Ripple dollar. We are looking back. So I will take a quick peek and see where is 50% or where are the fibs on this most recent swing, because I normally like to see the 50% hold if it's just a correction. And you can see what happened here. We tried to hold it, and now that's resistance. So now we can say actually back above that 50%. That would be a bullish signal, wouldn't it? 0.5246. Otherwise, 61.8 and this low next, 0.5428. It's just this most recent swing, so 0.5428. And if I go all the way to the lows, we can see that our 50% all the way from these lows is also a little bit lower. So this is where we're looking. Actually, I don't want to do that. Let's do it like that. A little bit lower in this zone. So 0.451 to 0.45 to 0.464. That's the kind of support zone. A little bit lower. We've got one more push then before we get there. And yeah, if we look left, we can see where that support is. So Ripple, US dollar, not entirely sure we've got a support there unless we start seeing some strong moves higher. That's what I like to see. Ripple Bitcoin. Let's see if we've got similar scenario. Now, let's clean up everything. Again, on our daily, in fact, no, I want to keep that trend line. It looks like we're coming back to retest this breakout. Normally, you don't come all the way back to the trend line. You come back to the level where you broke out. If we do that here, that's also where our daily 50 moving average is at 23.75. So 23.75. I would hope that that would also be a fib level here. Let's see. No, it's not. Okay. So for now, yeah, 23.75. If I put that on there, 1.618 is a little bit there. 22.65. Does that line up? This is starting to look, yeah. We've got further to fall anyway with these daily moving averages. So potentially we're at a bounce level here, and that comes from this swing. It's 1.1272 of this swing, but I can't see any other reason for us to. Potentially we've got a bounce level here at 25.64. But I do think it's not enough to be a bottom yet. I think we've got a little bit further to go, unfortunately. Let's take a look at this weekly, because I tidy up, right. Problem is with this failure to make a new high, we're now looking at a kind of bigger bottoming pattern. Our weekly moving averages, they're that little bit lower, you know, where we're looking for support, aren't they? 2,400, 2,410. That's where our 200 moving average is. I really do think we've got that little bit further to go. Let's see where they're. So, not quite a bottom yet. 2,200 would be the equal measured move as well. So yeah, like I don't necessarily hate Ripple. I was really hoping actually that it would surprise everybody and keep going, you know, but damn it. Dang nabbit, it's not. Okay. I'm going to call it a halt there tonight, I'm afraid. It's so bad. This lockdown, I can't wait for this lockdown to go over, but it just seems like more and more people are getting sick. Monero. How about Monero? I did Monero at the beginning. Love Monero. New highs. Looking for higher in Monero. As long as we stay above, if you're looking at Monero Tether, as long as we stay above 147, I'm looking for 181 next in Monero. Yeah, you have to rewind. I love it. All right, good night, everyone. Thanks for coming. If I see anything interesting in the week, I'll post a video. Otherwise, you have to join my strategy group. It's only, honestly, it's £25 a month. If you don't like it, you get your, or if you find you don't have time for it, you can have your money back. No obligation. Leave any time. Learn the strategy. Say bye. We don't care. But we're a really nice group of people, so it's up to you. Don't trade alone.